Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I'm Carmen Milagro. I'm your host of From the Ground Up, as well as a CBD educator, the founder at Divina Skincare's Hemp CBD premium line, and the author of The Truths About Hemp CBD, a guidebook for curious folks. So, what we like to talk about on the show is successful transformation in your business, in your life, and what are some of the nuggets of wisdom and the advice that our guests are able to share with you so that it can resonate and connect with how you're living your life. We know that, you know, you try the best every day to live your best life. That's the assumption that I'm going with. But how do you do that from the ground up and from the inside out? Well, that's what we're going to discover. We're on a quest on this show to learn from as many people as possible on how they have their life structured to be the most successful and the most fulfilled that they can possibly be. So we will talk about things like, working from home, health strategies, business strategies, all of it. It's all a part of that package for your wellness, for your spirit, and your soul. Now, today's guest really, really is super exciting for me to have her here because she is a master coach from Ontario, Canada. She's been recently recognized as one of the top professionals as the coach of the decade. She, like many women, Coach C, as she's known to many of us, she wears several different hats and she wears them well. She's a trusted mentor and a coach. She's an elite international speaker. She's an entrepreneur, an investor, a consultant, and she's an expert on the business of cultural transformations. She's also a proud mom to 3 talented children, and she's an avid hockey player. Yes, you heard me right. She's an avid hockey player. So I'm going to bring her on without any further ado. Coach Christine Nielsen. Welcome to the show, Christine. How are you?
I'm great, Carmen. Thank you so much for that beautiful introduction that you gave me. The avid hockey player makes me chuckle because there is a hockey rink in my backyard, which is just outside of my office here. And I was on the ice on Sunday. It was a little slushy, but I was there.
I love that. That to me sort of speaks to, right, like diving right into the topic of wellness and taking care of your spirit and your body and your soul. But before we do that, do you mind sharing with us a little bit of your backstory? Who was Coach C when she was 20 versus who she
Oh,
is
God.
now?
Oh, God. So let's dive into that and unravel it. And
Yeah.
many people look at how did I become the CEO of an international consulting company, and what is a coach-based approach to consulting? And I have actually been doing coach-based consulting for over 27 years. And so I am a master coach, but I use our coaching as a tool for consulting our clients and our businesses. And I didn't wake up one day and, decide, oh, I'm going to be a coach. I was actually in the pharmaceutical industry in my 20s. But before I got there, there's a whole backstory to that. So I'll start in the middle and then I'm going to go back and then I'm going to fast forward you.
Okay.
So in my 20s, I was a train wreck. And when I say train wreck, my nickname was Hurricane Christine. I was a force to be reckoned with in that I knew that I wanted to make an impact in the world. I wanted to light it up and light it on fire, as many of your listeners probably do. And
Right.
I didn't know how I was going to do that. So I started my career in pharmaceutical sales, and they hired this person who was a transformational coach. And everybody else was sitting there going, don't drink the Kool-Aid. Well, I had risen to the company fairly quickly. I was exceptionally young on the team. I was the youngest member of the entire team. And by the time I was 22, I was one of the top reps in our on the team. And so I'm sitting there, I'm listening to this guy, and I went, oh, this isn't my chair. That's my seat. That's my purpose in life. How do I go do that? And so at 22, I made the choice. I went to him and I said, what is this transformational coaching? Because you don't learn about, then you didn't learn about it in university. Now
Right.
there are actually programs for coaching and designations for coaching, some of which I have written. I partnered with senior leaders to help write the roads programs and things like that in universities. So I have a lot of history in this. And I didn't just wake up one day and become a coach because I was doing something else. And I thought, oh, I'll just try this thing on. It's been my life's journey and my life's work, which is also why those awards, coach of the decade, because I'm masterful at this stuff. Right. But before that, and making that transition into being an entrepreneur, I was, when I say it was messy and I was a train wreck, it was really because who I was being in my life was someone who was going to prove themselves. I'll show you.
Sure.
And left to my own devices. And when that was undistinguished, I'll show you created a lot of trouble, a lot of patterns of behavior that were getting in the way. And so becoming a transformational coach, I had to go through my own levels of transformation.
Sure.
And I had to start with looking at, well, what were the decisions that I had made as a child that got me here that are now getting in the way? So sometimes those that, forced to be reckoned with, it gets you to one level and then it totally bites you in the butt because it completely is bankrupt as a strategy for success.
Sure.
And I had to unravel that. And that's where I'll take you back. So I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth. I came from a small city in Canada. It's called Kingston, Ontario. It's halfway between Toronto and Montreal. And my parents were very young when they had me. They were babies raising babies. And so got married at 19, had me at 20, divorced at 22. And so there was always something in my world. And you add red hair on top of that. And when I was growing up, it wasn't popular. It wasn't cool like it is today. Having red hair today is actually, unique and different, but it wasn't then. So I was immediately, by the time I was, 11 years old, I had moved 7 times and gone to 8 different schools. So there was a lot of challenges that throughout that period of my life that weren't necessarily all that fun.
Right.
And there was a lot of ways that I had to kind of master who I was going to become and create. I'm sorry, you're hearing background noise because I forgot to tell my children that I'm recording. So I apologize. Anyway, so long story short, I had to really figure a lot of things out in a very turbulent time and become fairly resilient. So that was that. I'll show you. I'll prove it to you. I was going to show my parents that I'm worthy and I'm lovable and I'm all of these things. Except then
Sure.
it kind of got completely in the way as a winning strategy or a way of being where the more I accomplished. So I was the first person in my family to graduate in university. I had a higher paying job in my first job than my dad did when he retired. The more I accomplished, the higher education, the more I did, the less fulfilled and satisfied I was until I did that, where I met that transformational coach and the light bulb went off and I was awakened to the fact that I don't have to be so forceful.
Right.
And I don't have to defend and protect absolutely everything in my life.
Right.
So that was the beginning of a 27-year career in transformational consulting.
And what's fascinating to me as I was listening to you is it touches on so many different things about balance, right? Because we need that drive and we need that passion or that purpose to propel us to what we want to accomplish. But at the same time, I think this is why this conversation is so important and critical is how do you temper that so that you don't burn out? Because we are looking at a lot of these different things, especially in the last couple of years, as we have seen the world completely change. There's so many different forms of imbalance in our life.
Huge.
If we could kind of go in that direction,
Mhm.
what do you feel that are the top three things to sort of center us, whether you're working from home or you're an entrepreneur, you're used to being on the road, you're used to being on stages all over the world, and then it comes to a halt. How do you regain your balance?
Yeah. Well, I actually really, I love the word you chose called regain your balance. There is never going back ever. So there isn't, this is one of our strategies that we coach and work with our clients on. When we're trying to get back to something, it's past based.
Mhm.
So we're trying to get to an experience or a feeling that we once had. And it's a bit of a myth in terms of if we have an experience that we're trying to recreate, that means we're putting our past into our present and into our future.
Sure.
So, one strategy that we work on is who am I being today? And what is it that is really important to me right now? So, if balance is missing, if balance is off, what's the source? What's the cause of that balance? And what do I really want? So we come at it from a future-based perspective in what is the future that's informing my today, as opposed to how do I get back to what I had that I feel, because our brains are always responding to lost, less, and never. And if we're responding to I've lost something, I've lost balance, I've lost control, I've lost the plot, I've lost energy, I've lost whatever the loss is, then we're responding to a loss that we're trying to recreate, which then we get more of the same. Sorry, let me just tell my children I'm actually on live right now. So bear with me a nanosecond, okay?
Thank you. But this is such a great, this is where we are.
This is
This
working
is
from
where we
home,
are.
right? The kids are home. They're
Yes.
working from home. They're on a break. I didn't put the sign up to let them know I'm recording and that we're live. And
Right.
so let's talk about that, because you said regain balance, and I say reclaim the present.
I
Being
love that
present
better.
in the present moment, which
Yes.
means including it all and not having judgment and assessment on what's going on. Because
Right.
we're
Absolutely.
often very busy. The friction in our lives is often because we're judging, assessing something, and we have an opinion that it shouldn't be the way that it is.
I see, I'm learning as we're just diving into this conversation. Thank you so much. I'm gonna play this back and remind myself. But let's talk about what we do for when we have this ability to recognize what you said. We're building on the present, going forward to the future instead of looking back. What are some of the tips that
Mhm.
keep you in this place? Like, let's talk about. Can you share with us like maybe three business strategies and then three health and wellness strategies? Because in my mind, all of that goes hand in hand.
Right. Well, and a lot of our work, a lot of our leaders that we work with, and a lot of our clients, it is an integrated process. So it's not you're one way in business and then you're one way in your personal life. Actually, you're constantly crossing over and intertwined, and the kids are home and all of this stuff is happening. And right now, it's happening in a microscope or a petri dish. It's like happening constantly all day long. So
And on Zoom.
and
It's
on
happening
Zoom
on Zoom.
and on Zoom. So let's start with our daily practices that set us up, that inform who we're going to be. So setting daily intentions. But before we even do that, we start with, my morning routine is critical. So I start with breath work, a glass of water, okay, with lemon juice in it. So I'm rehydrating right off the get-go. Okay. A practice people forget to do is like do one accomplishment before anything else. So how I have my breath work, I do my morning meditation, anywhere between 5 minutes and 25 minutes for morning meditation, depending on the day of the week. If it's a hair wash day, it's a 5-minute meditation day, right? So, and then I set my daily intention. And what is it that I intend for the day? So that will, and are my actions aligned with that intention? So those are practices. So physical exercise, stretching, breathing, setting an intention, hydration, those are all things that come with the first 45 minutes of the day, setting it up.
Right.
And so that's the wellness, that's the first part of the wellness journey. right?
Mhm.
And then the business strategy actually falls out of that. We do the exact same practice for the intention setting in our business. And what is it that we intend to accomplish? What will the intended outcome be? And who will I choose to be in the conversations I have all day long? Because right now it's conversations on Zoom. When we're back, it's conversations in person. So there's more of an experience to that. But really, we're just talking all day long.
Right.
We're talking. And so if we're talking all day long, did we put practices in place where we have some creativity time? When is your best creativity time? So knowing yourself, knowing when you're at your optimal performance. So
Sure.
for me, it's morning. I'm a morning person. At 2 o'clock in the afternoon, my energy wanes. So I need to be with other people so that I can get refueled. So
Sure.
knowing who you are is one of the most critical things. Then you asked me for my top 3 business strategies. So
Mhm.
that's the first one, is setting your intentions and your outcomes. The second one is, who's your support system in your business and your personal life? So in our team at Contrast, my partners, we do a stand up, we set our intentions, so we do that together. So then you have the energy of the entire team working on an aligned operating practice. So alignment is big. The people that you surround yourself with. So who are the people in your business that are going to help you accomplish what it is that you're up for? And are they aligned with that, the goals, the future, the vision that you have? Because if they aren't, what typically happens is it becomes very hard.
Sure. And
Very
toxic at times.
And it can get very toxic. So but the structures for fulfillment, and the most important, and if my team is listening, I love you all, but you all know the most important person on our team is actually our caregiver. We have a caregiver at home to help me with my kids, because if anything is off at home, then nothing's working.
Right. Right.
Right? So structures for fulfillment are a big deal for me. And you and I had talked a little bit about this concept of the sandwich generation, where you have people working from home, they've got kids they're schooling online, and they may have a parent that they're also caring for.
Exactly.
Those pressures in and of themselves create just a plethora of challenges. So if you do some of the personal things, and they don't have to be hard, journaling might be another one. There's so many that we use. They don't have to be difficult. But if you start keeping a routine practice that generates who you're going to be every day, it helps you when you're managing all of that stuff.
Right. And
Did I
that's
answer your question?
yes,
Okay.
beautifully. So thank you so much. Again, I'm continuously learning. So I really appreciate, just all this insight. And I'm sure everyone watching is also going, it resonates. It definitely, I think, different things are going to resonate for different people. Where are they in their life, that sort of thing. But one of the things that I was really starting to think about just as you were speaking is all of these things that we deal with, like caring for parents and caring for your children and starting a business or managing a business. There are some ramifications physically for the body.
Mhm.
And,
Mm.
that's sort of my area that I go into. That's one of the purposes that I feel is what my life is about, is to help people, through some of this process. But what are some of the things that you do for yourself physically to keep you, operating at your optimum level?
Well, so I do intermittent fasting. So that's just me. That's like the dietary stuff. But that glass of water and the 20 cups of,
Water,
I
yep.
mean, I mean the 2 cups of cappuccino. No, I have a bit of cappuccino habit. But so the dietary things are important, and fueling your body and knowing how to optimize your brain fuel. So and there's peaks and valleys in that performance. So you have to be very conscious. We call it consciousness in my daily practices. And I don't diet. I don't do any of those things. I don't withhold sugar or withhold foods from myself. I'm not someone who will ever do that. That's not the way I'm personally wired. For some people, that works very powerfully.
Of
Well, let's just
course.
talk about the daily. Okay. So ergonomics. I happen to be, so we mentioned hockey, and I have a very bad neck injury. And in 2018, I had my 5th concussion. And it also was joined by playing hockey. I got slew foot. It was a Friday morning women's rec league. And I was doing this tight turn and I lights out. So it actually affected my brain in ways where words weren't coming out of my mouth. And it impacted my memory, but it also has I have a very bad neck injury. And my neck injury started from hockey, first neck injury at 14, car accidents throughout periods of time. So that's where it's also the place where I hold stress.
Yes.
So, and you've seen this because when we were together in Florida in December at Mega Success, and I'm constantly doing this, right? If I do that, you can probably even hear a clicking noise, right? I can make all kinds of unhappy noises. So things that make me solve those challenges. So you created this product called SOOTHE, and it's an herbal massage serum. So when I'm sitting on hours of Zoom and I know my ergonomics are bad, so when I stand up, I put the desk up, having a stand-up, sit-down situation, using an exercise ball instead of a chair to balance your abs, to strengthen your core. These are little small things that don't require hours of time in the gym, right? Because I don't have hours of time, but I do rub this on here all day long. So when I'm having problems, I do that. And right now I am having a problem. It's because this morning I didn't monitor and stay awake to normally I have a little cube. So this is a habit, this is a little practice. So I set my cube and my timer for when I need to move. Right? Because I will get in conversations, so engrossed in conversations, and I'll forget.
Right.
And so if I set my cube and the little timer goes off, it means, oh, you're sitting down too long. No wonder your glutes hurt. No wonder your bum hurts. Right?
Those are things. We start slouching, right? We start doing that.
Or we're leaning. The actual, and this is the worst. This heads down thing that we do on our phones, it's the worst. We're developing this growth hump in our necks. And I see myself on stage. So I have to stand up, practice breathing, pull in my abs, put my neck and my shoulders back, and do neck exercises. So these are things that are simple things that work for me. And depending on your body, you got to figure it out. What is your thing in your body? So it's also, when my glutes get tight, I have a thing underneath my desk that I have a little cycle. So I cycle sometimes. So I'm moving. I also have a little thing where I'm stretching out my legs, and I'm in a suit. Nobody would ever know.
Right.
But you have to be awake to what's going on. So it starts with consciousness.
Right. That's wonderful. Those are so many tips right there.
So many.
This is great. This is what I love about doing these discussions, because there's something I used to work in ergonomics. I used to work for a company that designed the stand-up furniture way back in, I'm going to date myself, way back during the .com boom in California. It was this whole revision of how you worked in offices, right? And now we bring it back home, which is really interesting that's one of the things that I had forgotten. I do have my little cycle. I still am unpacking. So now I'm going to go find it because I've forgotten that I have it. So thank you. And thank you for the reminder.
When you're just responding to email, move your legs.
Right. Exactly.
Stand up to do it. Right. Refresh your brain. It's like, if you could find the reset button in your brain, what does it look like? And what would you do with it? Well, the first part is the reset button is designed. It is there, but it requires being conscious to what's going on now.
Right. It's knowing yourself, knowing your body.
Yeah.
And I think this is why these conversations are also so important, is because a lot of times, and maybe, in my experience, what I've seen in these conversations and a lot of these interviews is I feel like we as women, and I am going to go there for just a minute, but we as women seem to have a much more comfortable conversation about these things, about taking care of yourself, your spirit, your body. Whereas many times I feel like it's almost like a foreign concept with men. Some men, not all.
Men, I think that's shifting to a very big degree. I think women are more conscious to it because we do actually, kind of hold more, right? So we are more of in a role where we're responsible and accountable for a lot more of the nurturing, and we're more conscious to it. With a lot of our male clients and female clients, they sometimes the starting point is they know that there's something that they need to attend to, but they don't know how to ask.
Right.
Right. And so once they start, though, it's amazing.
It opens up the
amazing. It opens up like, well, what are their health goals? What are their weight loss goals? What about sleeping? So we look at even though I'm a business transformational coach, some of the conversations I have with my clients are, how much sleep are you getting and are you hydrated?
Right.
Right.
Like
And
basic building blocks.
On a scale of 1 to 10, what's your temperament like today? Are you frustrated, grumpy, happy, sad, excited? Is it feeling like Groundhog Day? Like getting in touch with your feelings. Men and women actually think we're in touch with our feelings, but then you ask them, oh, I'm fine. Everything's fine. Oh, really? You're fine. You got 10 million things going on. You woke up at 3:00 in the morning and you couldn't fall back asleep. You had to get up to get ready to online school your children. And you are working on a report that is due on the desk, or you're working on a client proposal that's due on the desk by 3:00. How are you fine? Right? Like
That's so true.
That's the pandemic, that we're all walking around pretending we're fine. We're not fine. There is nothing fine about this. What we want to do is start to own that and go, what does fine actually mean? It means effed up, insecure, neurotic episode. Next time someone says to you, I'm fine, say, would you like a straitjacket, a padded room, or something to cry on? How can I help?
Right. That's great. That's great. And here's the other thing too, humor. Humor is so important for how we
lost the plot.
move. Right.
We take ourselves so seriously.
Not on this show, clearly.
It's like it's hard. No, it's actually funny. You're living a sitcom. What character are you being right now? My life is a sitcom. If somebody followed me around with a video camera, it could be like, I don't know what sitcom, right? But it's funny.
But that's so great to acknowledge that in ourselves. Just even things like, what am I going to wear for this interview today? And I thought, all I have to worry about is the top part.
Right.
It doesn't matter if I'm wearing a skirt or my sweats.
I'm actually glad you brought that up, because I am someone in the last 3 years who gets up every day, gets dressed, puts my makeup on, and does my hair. I don't wear sweats to work. And I do wear slippers sometimes, but I have my heels or a pair of shoes if I want them.
Right.
And I wear slippers because my office is cold and it's just comfortable, and it's okay. I think maybe we could, if we ever do go back into the office, I might start work to wear slippers or running shoes in the office, because it just feels good. But that's another story. But intentionally dressing, choosing clothes that make you feel awesome.
Mm-hmm.
It's the living in Toronto, the days are a lot shorter right now, the daylight. So we don't get as much sun. It's dark all the time. And so it's gray. Like today it's January and it's January gray. So everybody used to talk about the January blues and the February blahs, blah, blah, blah. Well, now everybody's talking about mental health and ways to, depression, serious depression.
Yes.
And so if you feel those things are going on, there are things you can do. Light therapy, touch therapy, sound therapy. We launched a product in the pandemic called Brain Tap Coach. So Brain Tap Coach is actually an active meditation tool where you put a headset on, and it's light therapy, binaural sounds, and guided meditation that rewires and resets your brain to help you combat things like sleeplessness, high levels of anxiety, stress, smoking cessation, stop, like not having to pick up bad habits, right?
I'm actually familiar with that. Some of my colleagues that are actually working with me, and they like what the Serum does, they are in this space. So I'm just by being around them, I'm learning a lot about red light therapy, all of these different things that I didn't know. So knowing that we have these tools to help us get
Yeah.
to that good place, I think
Yeah.
it's a wonderful new world for me. I'm very excited about all
And you
this.
know what the tool we've always had and we don't use? There's two of them.
Okay, I'm ready.
Telling someone where you're at, how you feel, and listening when someone needs to be heard.
Yes.
We
Yes.
just need to listen more and speak up.
Mhm.
Breathing is also very important, but we have the opportunity to tell the truth. Instead of saying, I'm fine, say, you know what, I'm feeling a little off today, or I'm really excited. I'm a bit anxious, but I'm excited.
Right.
Or I'm feeling like this is never going to end.
I have those moments for sure.
Right? What
No, but
ground?
it is important. Yes, some of the colleagues in this wellness space that
Mhm.
I have been really fortunate to meet and to talk about, and let them know what I've created and yada yada yada. I'm learning so much about that, and I do have someone which I did not have for years. I just thought, well, they don't want to hear about my problems. I don't want to burden my friend or my colleague.
Right. That's
And
such
then
a
we discovered, oh, wow, guess what? We all need that. So that's a great point. Thank you. This has been so incredible. I know you've got a busy schedule. I appreciate you, fitting us in. So, two things I thought if you could sort of wrap this up with your your wisdom, your one of your Christinisms, and then also how do people connect with you and learn more about what you do? And if they're looking for your services, how do they find you?
So the first part in the Christianisms, there's a lot of stuff that I say that and practices that I do. But I think if you're someone who is at home and you're curious about, the biggest gift I could give you today is create a future bigger than the one you think you can step into, and then step into it.
Oh, you
The
just gave me the
best
chills.
the best way out of a rut or feeling down or blue is through it, but it has to be with a future that is big enough to motivate you to go after it. And it has to be connected to your purpose. If it's not a part of you, you will never do it. So that's why we're coming close to the part where everybody who made New Year's resolutions, don't make New Year's resolutions. Make an opportunity and intention of a daily resolve. Today, who am I going to be? What best version of myself can I make? And if you really want to get underneath it and you're really stuck, go be of service. It is very difficult to be concerned about you when your attention is on making an impact with another. It doesn't matter what that service is, be of service. And that will get you connected and out of any rut. And
Oh,
so
I
that
love
would be like the biggest piece that I would say right now. And then how to contact me, you can reach me. Instagram, it's Coach C Official. Our company is Contrast Results Group. We're everywhere. We're on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram mostly. Yes, we're on TikTok a little bit. It's not my favorite place yet, but I did listen and I'm taking some advice from my coach. So we'll get there. But Christine Nielsen, Nielsen, Coach C Official. And I'm pretty easy to find. Contrast Results is our company.
Oh my gosh, thank you. This has been so illuminating and reinforcing a lot of what I already believe, but I learned
Good.
so many new things. So thank you for me personally, and then I think everyone watching is going to get some amazing results and amazing just what I like to think that the show does for people is it gives them a place to just sort of open up their mind for the new you,
Yeah.
and we're all learning together. So thank you so much. I really appreciate your
An
time.
absolute pleasure, and keep making this amazing Soothe herbal oil. I do find it very helpful, and I've been putting it on my husband. He has a pinched nerve in his C, one of his spine. So I've been dabbing him too. So, when you find a solution, share it with a friend. Let people
Yeah,
know that you got something that works. Don't hold on to it. Be greedy about that.
thank you so much.
Carmen.
Thank you so
Bye.
much. I really appreciate it. Bye-bye. And that is the end of a very special interview with Miss Christine Nielsen, Coach C. Please make sure to like and comment on the information below, and we're going to put her information below as well, so you can contact her through that methodology. That's about it for today. I really appreciate your attention and your time. I don't know about you, but I learned so many new just attitudes and just simple things to do to help me and hopefully help you get on this path where we know we need to be. Sometimes we just need a little help. Coach C was the one that gave us that help today. So with that, as I've said before, and we said it again today, the transformation of your being and the transformation of your business, it all goes hand in hand. And this is where we find out some nuggets and wisdoms and advice that we shouldn't take for granted. Until next time, I'm Carmen Milagro. This has been From the Ground Up, and I'll see you then. Thank you. Bye-bye.